Hello there and welcome back to Hydroponics Daily, your go-to podcast for everything soilless cultivation. I am your host, Dr. Russell Sharp, the founder of Utrema Limited. And today I thought I would talk more about the business of hydroponics and especially about online sales, e-commerce, direct-to-consumer sales, or business-to-business on e-commerce, and talk about what business models suit that for hydroponics. Now, you can sell, and there are many websites doing this, leafy greens and microgreens online now, and obviously it has to be within the country you're operating, direct to consumer, and they can buy them on the website. The advantages of this is that there's a large market for it, and you can use Google Ads to find your customers. Your customers will be searching for it, and you can find them using Google Ads. The disadvantage is that you're selling a perishable product that has to be mailed, and your margins are going to be lower because you're competing with the supermarkets. So it's not a niche product. It's a commodity product, salad, spinach leaf, microgreens to some extent. So I would avoid that when it comes to online sales. Although many people do it, I don't think it's the best option. Certainly not if you're starting out and you're bootstrapping your company. Now, you can sell things like, when it comes to unpreserved, undried products, things like a tuber or a stem, a fruit is going to have a lot more longer shelf life than a leafy green or a microgreen. But again, you'd have to have a very niche product, something like vanilla. If you could grow that, or we've talked about sweet potato in the past, but that's too much of a commodity to find a unique selling point. So I would avoid them. What I would go down is, if you've got a really unique product, you could have a dried product and you could dry it. But even better than that are better ways of preserving fresh produce that increase the price that can be charged for that product. Go more niche, go high end, and for that we're talking, first of all, the main one would be freeze drying. If you can freeze dry a herb, then that is a massive potential unique premium product. So rather than selling to the masses, you're selling a unique product. So Google Ads is not good. You have your website, you sell it on that, but Google Ads would be trash for that because people aren't searching for it. No one's searching for freeze-dried products. What they will buy freeze-dried adverts is like meta ads, your Instagrams, your Facebook, TikTok, those sorts of adverts where people say, "Ooh, freeze-dried, insert your product." Whether that's basil, chilies, anything like that, that's a premium one. The sorts of things you would buy in Harrods or Selfridges in the UK, going beyond your Waitrose and Marks and Spencers, beyond your high-end supermarket, these are, freeze-dried produce. Even freeze-dried sweets sell for an absolute premium. So that would be my go-to if I had a unique product. Say when I was growing marsh samphire, then if I had a freeze-dried version, I wouldn't need to worry so much about the cold chain, as it's called, getting it to the customer in a fresh way. You could dry it down, preserve all the good nutraceuticals, the flavor compounds, and I would also do trade shows where I was able to compare normally dried herb to freeze-dried herb. So that would be a big win, I think, in that sector, the gourmet food sector. As I say, Facebook ads where you're building knowledge of the product because people don't know that exists. And then in addition to that, I would look at things like pickled versions of your produce, because pickling, things like sauerkraut, kimchi in Korea, these are much more viewed far more highly than dried product. They can sell a lot higher volume. Not as expensive to create as freeze drying. The bigger disadvantage of freeze drying is it's a really expensive process that involves a lot of energy and a lot of capital cost. So your upfront cost of buying a freeze dryer, crazy high, and your running costs are high. Whereas pickling is dirt cheap to set up and dirt cheap to run, really, compared to freeze drying. And freeze drying, you take what is a large crop and turn it into a tiny crop. So you just will not sell it to the masses because they'll think it's just not worth it. It will be what's termed pearls after pigs, as some people say in many countries in Europe. They just will look at it and go, what the hell is that? I'm not buying that. So freeze drying for the real connoisseur, kimchi sort of type products, there's a massive opportunity there. Sort of European, American, homegrown kimchi rather than imported kimchi, if you can get that right. Obviously, you have to become an expert in microbiology if you're going to do that as well. But I think there's a massive opportunity there for e-commerce hydroponics. So the beauty of hydroponics is you can have a really good story about your cultivation method. You can take people behind the scenes, whereas field-grown crops, no one wants to see a farmer in a field. We've seen that a million times. People want to see sexy hydroponics. They want to see freeze dryers. They want to see fermentation and things like that. So I think there's a really good opportunity there for e-commerce. I've got a number of different ideas around that in the future I might want to explore. And if I was you, I would look at it as well. Because if you're growing a novel crop, like I said, that grown vanilla I came across last week, different ways of preparing and storing the vanilla, something that can differentiate you from what's already in the supermarket. That's where online sales would be good. And then I would just avoid selling on Amazon at all costs, because Amazon are the devil. Amazon, Jeff Bezos can go F himself in the A, as far as I'm concerned. Don't want to be his bitch. I would never sell on that platform. The fees that get charged, the way that they make you charge the lowest price on there, or you get booted off, the fact that you never get your customers' details, so you can't retarget them with ads. Everything has to be done on their platform, and you have to pay charge after charge after charge. If you've got a unique product, if you're producing freeze-dried Carolina Reaper chilies, or you're producing freeze-dried hemp, or you're producing kimchi with a special ingredient, then there's no need to sell on Amazon. Just get it on your own website, get it on TikTok Shop, Facebook Marketplace, and promote it that way. We use those sort of channels all the time, and they're great. So that would be my advice if you're doing e-commerce with hydroponics. If you've tried it, if you've had a success growing lettuce and selling it online, then let me know. Certainly in the UK, I think it would be a dud. But maybe in other sectors, it's a really good way of selling lettuce and spinach leaves and stuff like that. But yeah, if you've got another way of selling hydroponic produce, obviously it doesn't have to be edibles. It could be ornamentals. It could be non-food crops, all sorts of other options as well. Obviously, flowers through the door is a big one now. Sustainability, if you can grow flowers, cut flowers, or even edible flowers that could go through the post box rather than being in a parcel, that's a big win. So there's loads of opportunities for e-commerce and hydroponics. So definitely think outside the box, and let me know your thoughts and your experience selling directly online to the end user. I'd love to know. There's loads of people who listen to this podcast that do that. So any sort of feedback you've got, let me know, and I'll do a follow-up episode on it. All right. Thank you very much for listening to Hydroponics Daily today. If you thought this was useful, then please do leave an Apple Podcast review and rating. It does help share the word of hydroponics with the greater horticultural community who will be searching for podcasts. And if you make sure you click follow so you don't miss an episode, and check out utrema.co.uk, because if you are growing hydroponically and you need a novel premium fertilizer, biostimulant, or biopesticide, then we are the guys to talk to, because our products are not available anywhere else, and we've got a complete range with unique technology that you won't find anywhere else. That's been Hydroponics Daily for today. Until tomorrow, goodbye.